saying that last. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's episode. We can't go on together with suspicious minds. Suspicious minds. Ladies and gentlemen, cut it. Cut it. Terry, cut the shit. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Monday. Okay? Welcome to Monday. All right? If you didn't know, today is Monday. All right? Shout out to Elvis. He's got a new movie out. Okay? Isn't it crazy? Remember when there was rumors that Elvis went to, like he was on, aliens got him. How fucking nuts would that be if it was just like, it was true. Elvis was really, he came back and he looked just the same. And he was like, oh, thank you very much. That movie, that's not exactly how that went down. Terrible Elvis impression. But okay, listen. When you're spitballing, you're doing improv, as the kids call it. You're gonna have some terrible impressions. Okay? I'm excited to see the new Elvis movie. Eminem had a song in it. I listened to the song and didn't really like it. Okay, Eminem had this song called The King and I. It sounds like Eminem phoned it in. I'm the biggest Eminem fan. Okay, ticket, biggest Eminem fan. Sound like he phoned it in. It's called The King and I, featuring CeeLo Green. There's a story behind it that CeeLo only had 12 hours to record his part. And guess what? It sounds like it. Okay. It's the weirdest phoned in shit ever. All right. CeeLo's part is weird. The whole song is weird. It just sounded like there was no point to the entire song. It sounded like a bunch of just punchlines thrown together. Not even Eminem's top punchlines. I know he's saving that heat for his own shit and Dr. Dre's album. What was that? Parables? There's a song that Eminem just dropped with Dre for Dre's album. I forgot what it is, but it was fucking glorious. Anywho, we're getting off topic. Eminem or Elvis. It's your from an Epifam. Yep. Had a little strokey stroke. Elvis dropped a new movie. Excited to see it. But a movie that I just saw this weekend. We should have started the podcast with this song. Highway to the Danger Zone. Top Gun 2. Okay, listen. If you're not a fan of the original Top Gun, you even American? Okay, you even American. A classic. Not really. One thing I will say is the flying scenes hold up for when they filmed that movie. I want to say, what was it, 1986? Is that when that movie came out, or is it 90? No, it was 86, I believe. That movie holds up, okay, in the sense of the action scenes for that time. It must have blew people's mind. The acting, horrendous, okay? The acting, horrendous from Tom Cruise. Listen, he wasn't taking those Scientology acting lessons yet. He was just out there with his weird curved tooth, just living it up, okay? Just him and the sexual tension between him and the Iceman in that original Top Gun movie, palpable. The way they look into each other's beady eyes, they're both overacting in a weird way. And the sexual tension, that's what that movie is really about, is the gay undertones of Iceman and Maverick and how he wants to be his wingman, okay? He wants to fly that F-13 straight up his asshole, okay? And then press eject. I'm sorry. Okay, listen. Sorry for that. All right? Sometimes you just start going and you just have to finish the sentence. All right? But I actually appreciated Iceman's acting in it because he plays the part so well. He really is Iceman. And like the way he is, everything's calculated. I give him more of a pass. Maverick is more of just not the greatest acting, but it was with a star. You know, he had that star power. But I will give him this. Tom Cruise, probably the hardest working man in showbiz, right? Look at the longevity. You don't get that, whether they're all great movies or not, that portfolio of films without being a hard worker. Everything I've ever heard about him in the industry, one of the hardest working people, he shows up, he's intense. He's fucking so intense. But that the longevity in itself is incredible to see. But here's the thing. I'm digressing. I stand by it. Listen, Top Gun, it's a great movie to have seen. If it's on and you're not really doing anything, great. I recently went back, visited my parents. Top Gun was on Netflix. We watched it one night. And then I come home a couple weeks later. My girl, we're going to see Top Gun. I'm like, you should see the first one because she's never seen it. We start watching it. It's a tough watch, especially if you've seen it in a couple weeks period. It's not like it doesn't hold up that hard. All right. There's only so much of the sexual undertones and tension between Iceman and Maverick that you can take in a few week period. Needless to say, we fast forwarded through some parts. I'm like, these are just the key scenes that you need to see. Also impressive. She had no idea Goose died. All right. That was quite a surprise. And I'm like, wow, even in pop culture, everybody knows Goose dies. But anywho, I digress. We watched this new Top Gun movie. And I have to say, spoiler alerts, okay? Not so much plot spoiler alerts, but spoiler alerts. This is a great movie, okay? It's updated, and Tom Cruise, much better actor now, looks almost the same. He has been just sucking down IVs of baby fetus blood, okay? If anybody's outraged about the Roe vs. Wade, it's Tom Cruise, because he's like, now I need to go out of state to get my goddamn baby fetuses. Okay. This movie is a great movie. Miles Teller kills it. I think not a dry vagina in the house when Miles Teller's doing his weird little dance thing. It's just one little thing. And all the women's in there leaking. Okay. Got to get a rug under all of them. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I digress. Great movie. And something that blew me away that I did not know. All these actors actually had to go to pilot school. A lot of these scenes actually were done in a plane. Like it was actual legit stuff happening. And the dogfights, listen, some of the best flying scenes that I've seen. I thought the original had great scenes. This new movie, phenomenal. Obviously, we're so many years ahead. But the things that they showed, goddamn beautiful. Okay, I give... On the Evans scale of Top Gun, I give it an 8.3. Okay, listen, that's a very high scale. All right, because I'll give, and that's for now. Watchability of the original to me right now, 5.3. Okay, I'm sorry, there I said it. I couldn't watch it again. All right, if Tom Cruise was massaging my shoulders, maybe I could watch it. What? Who said that? Anywho, listen. They did do one thing in this movie, and this will be a spoiler, of having Iceman in this film. If you don't know, Val Kilmer has, I believe it's a rare throat cancer. But they made sure to include him and also gave him a great role and made his character very powerful in it. And I thought it was like a great ode and a nod to Val Kilmer. Because let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. The best role in any movie for me of all time, the most iconic, that it has a cult following, but I don't know if people respect it as much as they should. If you haven't seen the movie Tombstone, go watch Tombstone and see Val Kilmer's role as Doc Holliday. Westerns, despite popular belief, it is very hard to pull off a legendary Western character. Okay? Now, granted, the bar wasn't set very high with, what's his fucking name? Oh, hey there, Pilgrim. Westerns were always terrible, I feel like. But the way that these characters pulled off Wyatt Earp, Kurt Russell, Wyatt Earp, and Doc Holliday, Val Kilmer, phenomenal. Val Kilmer nailed that role. And to this day, I will die saying this. Val Kilmer might be the greatest role that I've ever seen done. Okay? He pulls it off. All right. But that's I give Tombstone on a watchability, a rating, an E rating scale of a 9.7. 9.7, baby. Okay. Current event. I have to tell you guys a story. I saw it and I was like, this is something that we need to talk about on the podcast. Okay. And I pulled it up because I need you guys to know this. A woman who married a ragdoll claims inanimate husband got her pregnant with ragdoll baby. This is real. A woman who married a ragdoll claims the inanimate object got her pregnant with a doll baby. She even had a ceremony to celebrate this doll's birth. I won't say her name, but she's a 37-year-old woman from Brazil, and she claims that being single led her to grab a needle and thread and to create Marcelo, her life-size ragdoll husband. You know what? I got to give her credit for taking her life into her own hands, literally. She says she and the ragdoll fell in love. I don't know if it had a choice. And she even got pregnant. She even claims she gained 4 pounds during her pregnancy. Okay. Now here's the thing. Did she put a dick on this ragdoll? I need to know that. Listen. Whatever about the contraception, if she really thinks she got pregnant, but that means that she fucked this ragdoll. I'm sorry, I had to say it. Okay? Listen. More power to her at the end of the day. She said not wanting to give birth first without getting married. Oh, okay, cool. She arranged a wedding in front of 250 family and friends before going on a honeymoon in Rio de Janeiro. She claimed she was in labor for 35 minutes. Dude, what a stud. What a stud. It's just 35 minutes. She threw on an episode of To Catch a Predator and just gave birth. Okay, she was able to get through it. 1.5 episodes of The Office. A doctor and a nurse were both present for the birthing ceremony, which she said was pain-free for her experience. Dude, good for her. Oh, and this event was live streamed to over 200 people. All right, well, now you're exploiting this baby ragdoll. She claims her ragdoll husband is a good father and is such a man, and all women envy him. Although she does have one criticism for Marcelo. Great name, by the way, Marcelo. She alleges her husband is lazy, but that she is a warrior, and I keep it going for us. Wow. Listen, I got to be honest with this. Out of all the mental health issues that are out there, this is a fun one. Listen. No one else had imaginary friends growing up. Oh, you went to school, you weren't homeschooled and had to make up friends in the backyard and hang out with pigeons? Oh, just me. Childhoods are fun. Anyway, listen. Everybody at some point wants an invisible friend, an imaginary friend. They put personalities in inanimate objects. Listen, do you guys remember the Brave Little Toaster? That shit fucked me up. Okay? That shit fucked me up. It made me think that everyday things were little characters that I took care of in my home. I'm an empathetic person, so I would become very emotional and responsible for all these emotional things around me. And I'm already what do you call it when you're compassionate and but it relies on the other person. Anyway, I forget the word. It's some cool Gen Z millennial word about how you are emotionally. But everybody creates something. I feel like this, listen, what's the difference between this ragdoll and God? Both are made up, right? I'm just kidding, ladies and gentlemen. Listen, I don't want to offend the religious sector of this podcast. I know we're very big in Afghanistan. I know that might come from as quite surprised, but for some reason, I'm on the top comedy podcast in Afghanistan. I don't know what I'm doing right or maybe what I'm doing wrong, okay? But maybe when we talk about our next topic, we'll divide a line in the sand of how popular I am in Afghanistan. But anyway, there is something to this. I have this book. It's called The Happiness Advantage. All right. Your boy is always looking to brain hack. I'm looking to be efficient and just have a system of the way I live my life. I love learning better ways to do things. It makes my willy tingle with efficiency and optimization. And in this book, it talks a lot about the importance of positive thinking, and not in like a woo-saw, if you think happy thoughts, you'll be happy. No. There's this study that they did where these people who there's a lot of talk in it, like the philosophy of people are always waiting for the next level to be happy. You get this good job, this dream job, then you'll be happy. You get your dream car, then you'll be happy. Whatever it is, you're always pushing it off. It's like the idea of retirement, where you hit that 30 years at your job, then you can retire and be happy. You get to spend time and be happy. But it's like it's like the opposite, where if like you get happy and you start doing all the things that make you happy, the success and business comes. Giggity. Happiness doesn't come from success. Happiness is almost a precursor for that success, if that makes sense. Anyway, if you want me to get more philosophical and motivational on this podcast, you just let me know, and we'll switch this to the E-Motivation Hour, where I'll just quote Gary Vee the entire time. Back to the podcast. But that was something that was interesting. And another study, they took these, I think they were like 75-year-old men. They put them in this clinical trial where all they did is they reverted everything about them 30 years, from what they talked about, the way they dressed, the jobs that they had, and they made them think, and everything. They interacted as if it was 30 years before. So these men would have been 45. During this study, these men actually reverted back by just the power of suggestion that they were actually younger again. They showed people who didn't know about the trial what pictures of these guys from the beginning of the trial to the end of it, which one looked younger. And there was like a huge conclusion that they looked almost 5 years younger to people who didn't know about the test after the trial, just by living like that. People who had ailments, arthritis, all this stuff that comes with age, they started seeing reduction in all of that just by living for a few weeks as if they were 45 years old again, It was actually kind of crazy. And all I'm getting at is how fucking powerful the mind is, okay? The fact that you could just Peter Pan, Walt Disney that shit up, and it has such a powerful effect. And the whole point is this lady fucking a ragdoll, okay? Where's the harm? There's enough people in relationships, and this is what's kind of crazy about it, is like, at first glance, I'm like, that's fucking crazy. But at second glance, I'm like, how is that different than people who get in a relationship with someone for what that person represents to them and their own interpretation of what that person is? You look at a guy who gets himself a trophy wife who doesn't really love him and doesn't really, treat him good and is cheating on him all the time. And you look at something like that, and for some reason, by just his own view of what he has, he feels like his life is a success, just based off his own interpretation of what that relationship is, not what objective reality is. And the same thing vice versa, where a woman, she is with this man because he has this great 6-figure salary and this big house and this boat, and they do this and do that. And on the surface, this looks great, but then he's cheating on her all the time, emotionally abusive, isn't attentive to her. But on the surface, it looks amazing. So she has a view of like, I was successful, in this relationship, blah, blah, blah. You can put in a ton of different shit for this to make sense. Can you tell your boy's been microdosing, just thinking about the fucking universe? Yeah. It's going great, by the way. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, kind of crazy when you stop and think about how powerful your brain actually is. And the bigger point to tie this into the ragdoll shit is Is this actually making the quality of her life better? What is the other side of this? Is it that she spends her life alone and she feels sad and unfulfilled? Or did she take it upon herself and was just like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to build my own man, Marcelo. Who would not want to marry a man named Marcelo? My name is Evan. Even I would tell my fiance, I'd be like, nah, you go with him. Okay? Some dude rolls up on us. He's fucking handsome. Introduces himself. Hello, I am Marcelo. To me and my girl, and I just say, it's nice knowing you. You know? Go with this kind man. And then they just disappear down a river. And he's just one of those dudes on the boats in Italy that's just like, could be Paris, but who the fuck wants to go there? Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, it's just wild what people do, just in general. The point I'm making, we're all not so different from this lady who's fucking a ragdoll and made a ragdoll baby. Okay? Here's the thing. If we're going to acknowledge that she made this baby, if she wanted to get it aborted, could she? Not with this Roe versus Wade. Okay? Let's talk about it, ladies and gentlemen. Holy shit. It's crazy because we're in such a weird place in time. This is more, we're not going to get into the nitty gritty of abortion law and what's the right thing to do and what's not the right thing to do. My stance on it is I've always been, pro-choice in the sense of just like across the board, libertarian. Like I just let people live. There's obviously, it's not a black and white thing, life is not black or white. And very few questions are things black and white. Is what you're doing with your life hurting other people? Yes? Well, then it's bad. Is what you're doing with your life not hurting other people? Well, then it's not bad. If what you're doing is making you happy and all of this, great. But here's the thing. I don't like these black or white answers to such crazy variables. Okay? I don't know what the right thing to do here is other than, it's kind of insane if you put any kind of control over someone's body. If there was something implemented, it's not good. Okay. I said we want to get into the nitty gritty, but it's not good. I don't like it. I don't support it with what's happening. As someone who really does, it's an interesting thing because what you're seeing is not that abortions are now federally illegal. It's actually just the power is going back to the states. So it's actually less federal overreach, which is a good thing. But in those states that don't support this, like Texas, which is fucking crazy, it's not a good thing for the people there. They're not federally protected from a state that they live in. And it's terrible. But more importantly is these kind of issues and what they do to our society. There's so many emotions. And this comes back again to I feel like our emotional response to things is always our interpretation of those things. We fill in a lot of gaps and what it means to us. And then if someone's an emotionally charged person, they'll say something that's kind of outlandish, or they'll say something that's very extreme. And then they post that on their social media story and they project their own insecurities with it and their own meaning behind what they're saying. And they're posting as if it's true. And it's it can be overwhelming for people to just constantly be seeing this many opinions and just outrage at something. What I always look at is the actions. What can you do in these kind of situations? My whole thing is to always kind of sit back and wait and to really digest facts and stuff that's objective about it. I understand people react emotionally, But I feel like when you react emotionally, it's uncalculated and it's not actually doing anything over time as progress. If you feel a very strong way about anything in your life, I can tell you this from tons of failure in my life, that motivation and inspiration and the vigor of just like passion, it moves, it goes away, it dwindles, and you can't be driven by that. You have to be driven by like objective goals and what you're trying to accomplish. I always think with what I would love to see in the world is independence from each person. Independence over what you eat, independence over what you consume. And that's what's kind of crazy. And it's like I'm trying to get away from social media more and more because I'm realizing that's like another form of eating. And sometimes what I eat isn't healthy on social media. And, you know, I went out last Wednesday. It was Wild Card Wednesday. Okay, my girl and I, we went to this dope place called Wonder Space in Austin, and they had a bar there. And I never really drink, but I was like, you know what? Fuck it, I'm drinking. We got some drinks. We walked around. We enjoyed this exhibit. It was surreal. It was amazing. Had a great time. And then we went out to eat after this Puerto Rican joint. Fucking delicious. But it was heavy food. In the morning, you know, and that's like my Wild Card Wednesdays. Those are just fun days where I enjoy myself and relax and don't work. On Thursday, I'm back to the grind, baby, as Gary Vee says. I was exhausted. I was worn out. I was hungover, and I ate terrible food. I was a glutton. Terrible food in the sense of I just overindulged, okay? I'll never call Puerto Rican food terrible, but it was gluttonous. And I had what you call a El Jibarito sandwich, which is fried plantains as the bread with pork all through it with this beautiful sauce and mayo ketchup. Anyway, delicious. I felt terrible, you know? And I feel like social media, when there's outrage, is a lot like that, where it is easy to get lost in the turmoil and to fuck up your own thinking and to distract you and to kind of deplete all your dopamine. I feel like if you really want change and you really want something to happen, you have to like become a master of yourself and of your own emotions. And every day slowly work towards becoming a better version of yourself and working towards the goals and the changes that you want to see in the world. Okay? And the thing is that's not sexy. That's not as sexy as protesting and meeting up with everybody and scratching that itch of protesting. It feels good to get out there and to hold your signs and to let everybody know, you're literally exerting all your energy and effort into what is a just cause. You're exerting all of this, you know, you're angry and you want to yell out. And I feel like that's the stress relief. That's the stress relief is to be with this group of like-minded people and to be outraged and to be upset and to be in a group where people understand you. But that's almost all the relief. And then once you go home, it's back to your life. And then there's a new thing. And that's why I think it's almost like the media keeps you in such a loop of being so upset over all this stuff that everybody's emotionally drained. Everybody's constantly burnt out. And they're constantly in a state of fatigue to where they actually can't make lasting changes in their life and actually make the changes that you need. You know, it's almost like distracting someone. It's like in boxing, there was times you would do all these feints and move around and like throw these little things just to get people reacting and get them so focused on what you're doing and distracted that they never actually implement their game plan. That's what it kind of feels like happens with social media and the news and the media and all the stuff with Ukraine and gas prices and Roe versus Wade and all this stuff. It's to get you to react emotionally and never actually implement your game plan. If you want to see shit different, start working on your own life and master yourself and make real changes, you know? That's the way it's going to be done. I don't think protests, I feel like they're just a byproduct of stress relief. And I don't know how effective they are, but I do know when people, unite and have a collective and don't, there's this great thing that I learned that I implement in my relationship and just even the way I deal with other people in general is that whenever there's an issue, it's never you versus the other person. It's never you versus them. It's always you and someone else versus a problem. Even if it's someone you disagree with. I feel like politics, it got me really burnt out and it made me not want to talk to people because people aren't ready to talk. People don't want to talk and discuss. They make it you versus them. It's supposed to be you and someone else sharing ideas and then finding a place of what is right. You need pushback. And that's what's crazy is that there's not a lot of room for that. If you think a certain thing, people assume that you are their own subjective view of what that represents to them. Bars, ladies and gentlemen. Did not mean for that to get so serious. Okay, we started off with the new Elvis, Top Gun, Lady Married a Ragdoll. And that's the thing at the end of the day. Just find your ragdoll in life. There's things that you start learning that just disconnect. Okay, you're not missing anything. Worry about you first. Before you want to help change the world, make sure you change you. You take care of yourself. And then you can actually give something back to the world, Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to this episode. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Guests are coming on the podcast. We had to move some things, but it's going to happen. All right. And we went this whole episode without even acknowledging my cool shirt. Pretty cool, right? Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I love you guys. Thank you for listening. And no matter what, even though I just said it, I still love you.